Spectacular mountain scenery defines the Canadian Rockies. Our mountain journey begins in Calgary, Alberta, only half an hour from the Rocky Mountain foothills. By following the Trans-Canada Highway, Highway number 1, west along the Bow River Valley, you arrive at Bow Valley Provincial Park, part of Kananaskis Country. K Country is a 4,000 square kilometer multiple-use area with hiking, mountain biking and equestrian trails, golf, a four-season resort, and 2 ski hills. Southwest of the Kananaskis Valley, Mount Assiniboine Provincial Park boasts glaciers, alpine lakes, and giant peaks. This British Columbia park is not accessible by road. Mount Assiniboine itself is often called the Matterhorn of the Canadian Rockies. By following the Trans-Canada Highway west, you arrive at the town of Canmore. Located in the montane habitat of the Bow River Valley, Canmore is ringed by the Three Sisters Mountains, Mount Rundle, and Grotto Mountain. From Canmore, it's a 2-minute drive to Banff National Park, Canada's oldest and the world's 3rd national park. Created in 1885, Banff is a United Nations World Heritage Site. As you near the town of Banff, the Bow River carves a channel below Mount Rundle. This Banff landmark was named for an early Presbyterian minister who explored this area in the 1840s. Cascade Mountain seems to grow even higher as you approach Banff. 3,000 meters tall, Cascade Mountain receives its name from the impressive waterfalls plunging down its face. A quick detour near Cascade Mountain will lead you to Lake Minnewanka. A loop road exists from the main highway and crosses the hydroelectric dam and generating station built at Lake Minnewanka in 1912 and upgraded in the 1940s to regulate the lake's water level and produce power. Boat tours are available to take you on a tour to Devil's Gap at the far end of the lake. The town of Banff is a service center within Banff National Park. Its famous main avenue runs between views of Mount Cascade at one end and the National Park's administration building and the Cascade Gardens at the other. The well-maintained gardens offer an island of serenity in an often hectic tourist center. An interpretive sign at the Cavan Basin describes Banff's beginnings. Warm sulfur springs, the result of unique geothermal activity, were discovered by railroad workers in 1883. The Dominion Government of Canada created Banff National Park to protect the hot springs from exploitation and to lure tourists to the mountains on the newly completed Canadian Pacific Railroad. For a dip in the hot springs, visit the Upper Hot Springs Pool. It's open year-round. Here you can relax in the hot sulfur water, enjoy a massage, or eat a light meal in a cafe. From the Upper Hot Springs, the Sulphur Mountain gondola whisks you to the top of Sulphur Mountain. The summit offers views of the Bow Valley, a restaurant, and a gift store. For those who prefer to walk, a 6-kilometer trail leads from the upper hot springs to the top of Sulphur Mountain. For hikers, Banff offers a variety of trails, from easy strolls to strenuous climbs. As part of its effort to attract wealthy tourists, the Canadian Pacific Railway built the Banff Springs Hotel in 1888. Originally an exclusive resort, the Banff Springs Hotel now caters to visitors from around the world with an impressive array of recreational and convention services. Set at the confluence of the Spray and Bow Rivers at Bow Falls, the Banff Springs Hotel offers unsurpassed mountain views as a setting for a stroll, a trail ride, or a game of golf. Below the hotel, the Bow River cuts through sedimentary rock to create Bow Falls. Here, the Spray River enters the Bow, and the combined waters rush down the valley. Two highways will take you west when you leave Banff. The winding Bow Valley Parkway parallels the busier Trans-Canada Highway to Lake Louise. It offers a more relaxed national park experience. Drive slowly and watch for wildlife. On the Bow Valley Parkway, only 20 kilometers west of Banff, is Johnson's Canyon. A catwalk above Johnston's Creek leads through a polished stone canyon to 30-meter high waterfalls. Evidence of water's amazing power to carve rock can be seen along the way. Back on the Bow Valley Parkway, you arrive at Castle Junction. Towering Castle Mountain rises above the forested floor. Turning south along Highway 93, you will follow the Banff-Windermere Highway. It was opened in 1923. After a steep climb along the road, you cross the Great Divide. You are now entering Kootenay National Park. 20 years ago, a fire blazed through this forest. Forest fires are an important part of a healthy ecosystem. Regrowth provides food for deer and elk, and wildflowers bloom in profusion as the land begins the process of natural reforestation. Continuing south along the 93, you arrive at Marble Canyon, where Tokum Creek has carved out a picturesque canyon from rock that resembles marble. On the opposite side of the highway from Marble Canyon, a full-day hike leads to the foot of the Stanley Glacier. Two kilometers past Marble Canyon, visit the Ochre Springs, known locally as the Paint Pots. The Paint Pots are a collection of spring-fed pools. They are colored naturally by ochre and other minerals that slowly seep from the ground. The Vermilion and Kootenay rivers lead you along the Highway 93 to Sinclair Pass. After the pass, it's all downhill to Radium Hot Springs. If you retrace your steps back along Highway 93, you return to Castle Junction. The Bow Valley Parkway and the Trans-Canada Highway both lead north to Lake Louise. Views of towering Mount Temple, Banff National Park's third highest peak, welcome you to Lake Louise. the jewel of the Rockies. Like many mountain lakes, Lake Louise owes its color to glaciers. Over 10,000 years ago, much of the Rocky Mountains were covered in glacial ice. As the glaciers moved over the landscape, they ground up much of the rock in their path, carving out the peaks and valleys. As the glaciers melt, the ground-up rock suspended in the ice runs off with the meltwater. That rock, now called silt or rock flour, is suspended in the water and reflects back light as the blue-green color we see in Lake Louise. Mount Victoria, named for the British monarch, can be viewed at the far end of the lake, which was named for her daughter, Louise, Alberta. Chateau Lake Louise, another Canadian Pacific hotel, was first built in 1888 and has been rebuilt and renovated. Today, over 10,000 people might visit the lake in a single summer day. Enjoy the breathtaking views, equally stunning in summer and in winter. Lake Louise offers a concentration of spectacular day hikes. A 2-hour walk from Lake Louise takes you to Lake Agnes. A tea house on the shore of this mountain tarn offers tea and treats to accompany the view. The 3.5-kilometer gentle grade trail to the tea house is a healthy way to see the sights. Moraine Lake is set in the Valley of the 10 Peaks. In 1893, early explorers named the 10 Peaks after the stony words for the numbers 1 to 10. Only 2 of those names remain today. Just west of Lake Louise, off the Trans-Canada Highway, is the Great Divide. The Continental Divide forms the boundary between British Columbia and Alberta. The divide also separates Banff and Yoho National Parks. A commemorative plaque here celebrates James Hector. He named the pass the Kicking Horse Pass. A stream flowing off the divide forks, with half of its water flowing east and the other half flowing west. Just beyond the Great Divide is the access road to Lake O'Hara. This fragile alpine environment can only be reached by foot or bus. Reservations are needed to camp overnight or to stay at the Lake O'Hara Lodge. A well-maintained network of trails at Lake O'Hara leads to some of the most beautiful mountain lakes in the Canadian Rockies. One of those is Lake MacArthur. From Lake O'Hara, you descend 330 meters into the Kicking Horse River Valley. The spiral tunnels were built in the 1920s and were a major engineering feat. They were designed to lessen the steep grade CPR trains had to negotiate up and down the Kicking Horse Pass. They can be seen from an overlook. At the bottom of the pass, the valley flattens. Here, a road turns to the north and follows the Yoho River. This takes you to the 380-meter tall Takaka Falls. It is the tallest waterfall in the Canadian Rockies. This water will flow to the Pacific Ocean via the Columbia River system. The Ice Line Trail, a strenuous day hike, skirts the Emerald Glacier high on the western wall of the Yoho Valley. From this vantage, you can see the Waputink icefield where Takaka Falls begins. Back along the Trans-Canada Highway, the town of Field below Mount Stephen was once a switching yard for the Canadian Pacific Railway. Extra engines for the steep climb up the Kicking Horse Pass were added to trains at this point. High above the town of Field, the Burgess Shale fossil beds provide insight into the very nature of life on Earth. They are a World Heritage Site all on their own. To reach this site, you must be accompanied by a guide.
Animal. It's quite rare. Only one complete, really good specimen has been found before. So it's quite exciting. You can see it's a segmented arthropod. These segments running like this way.
2 kilometers past Field, the Kicking Horse River has carved a natural bridge out of the sedimentary rock. Emerald Lake is 7 kilometers from the natural bridge along the same road. Its deep blue-green waters are a wonderful reminder of the colorful effects rock flower can have on a glacial-fed lake. Here, you can stroll along the peaceful lakeshore trail and through deep green forests. Canoes are available for rent. A paddle along this lake offers splendid views of the ring of mountains that surround the lake. Emerald Lake Lodge offers overnight accommodation, a restaurant, and in the summer, an outdoor patio. If you follow the Trans-Canada Highway back towards Lake Louise, you will arrive at the junction of Highway 93, the Icefields Parkway. Herbert Lake is a good place to stop. Watch for waterfowl and listen for loons on the mirrored surface of the lake. An ice field is a mass of ice that often has several glaciers extending from it. The rock beneath an ice field is often flat. Where the glaciers flow off the ice field, they tumble down steep mountainsides. You'll see several ice fields on your drive. The Crowfoot Glacier was named for its distinctive three-toed shape. That is, before a large chunk of it broke off in 1947. It extends from the Wapta ice field. Below the Crowfoot Glacier is Bow Lake. When travelers first came to these mountains, the Crowfoot Glacier extended to the shore of the lake. High above the lake is the Bow Glacier, source of the Bow River. A hiking trail starts near Namtija Lodge and leads through limestone canyons towards the river's source. Waterfalls tumbling off the Bow Glacier feed Little Bow Lake and the raging torrent that empties into Bow Lake. The view for those who take this 6-kilometer walk is breathtaking. Trail guide Jimmy Simpson Sr. built Namtija Lodge on the shore of Bow Lake in 1923. Namtija is the Stoney Indian word for pine marten. The Icefield Parkway continues north through rugged alpine scenery to an altitude of over 2,000 meters. Bow Summit is the highest point on the parkway between Lake Louise and Jasper. The alpine meadows and forests offer great hiking and wildflower viewing. At Bow Summit, take the turnoff to the Peyto Lake viewpoint. Peyto Lake lies in the Mistaya River Valley below Mount Patterson. Its distinctive color results from the same glacial silt that gave Lake Louise and Emerald Lake their color. The color of this lake shifts with the weather. It looks different with each visit. Above Bow Summit, Mount Gordon and Mount Rhonda are snow-covered all year round. Their glaciers haven't melted since the last ice age. Descending from Bow Summit on the Icefields Parkway, you pass the Snowbird Glacier. The head of the bird is near the valley floor, while its wings and tails extend upwards across the face of the peak. After admiring Waterfall Lake's reflective surface, you can appreciate the array of wildflowers that fringe its shore. As you continue north along the Icefield Parkway, you pass more rugged peaks of the Continental Divide. Glacial crowns are remnants of the same ice age that carved these deep valleys. At the Saskatchewan River crossing, view the confluence of the Mestea and Saskatchewan rivers below Mount Wilson. A resort and service center are located nearby. They're called the Saskatchewan River Crossing Resort. The David Thompson Highway, named for a famous Canadian map maker, heads east along the North Saskatchewan River Valley. Mount Murchison towers high above these rivers. Native people once believed Mount Murchison to be the tallest mountain in the Rockies. In the evening, these peaks take on a soft glow. This is the best time of day to stop a while and enjoy their beauty. Continuing northwest along the parkway, you parallel the North Saskatchewan River through the narrow valley it is carved between dramatic cliffs. Lodgepole pine and aspen grow in the subalpine habitat. The Weeping Wall is named for the many cascades and waterfalls formed by glacial meltwater in the short summer months. The Icefield Parkway rises to Sunwapta Pass in a series of switchbacks. These are designed to provide vehicles easier travel up steep slopes. At this altitude, snow in summer is a common sight. Wildflowers bloom in the alpine meadows, often right through the snow. If you decide to go for a hike, stay to the trails. This flowery habitat is very fragile. Wildflowers are best viewed in July and August. A short hike along Parker's Ridge offers view of the Saskatchewan Glacier, part of the fabled Columbia Icefield. Dress warmly. The weather is very changeable above treeline, and the wind usually cool, even when the day is hot in the valley below. At this altitude, growing seasons are short but showy. The 3,500-meter-high Mount Athabasca rises to the west of Parker Ridge. Surrounding this peak is the massive Columbia Icefield. Mount Athabasca's glacial tongue is also part of the Columbia Icefield. A new interpretive center near the Athabasca Glacier has excellent exhibits to explain the comings and goings of glaciers. As you approach the toe of the glacier, you pass markers showing where the glacier was when explorers first ventured into this valley. In the early 1900s, the Athabasca Glacier extended much farther down. In 1908, the Athabasca Glacier was 100 meters thick where it crossed the parkway's current route. Experienced mountaineers must travel carefully over the ice field. They use ropes, ice axes, and spikes on their boots to help them cross the glacier safely. A glacier forms when more snow falls than melts. The snow accumulates over hundreds of years and is compacted into ice by its own weight. The forces of gravity then pull the ice down the valley, and the rock-hard ice carves away entire mountainsides. Deep cracks in the glacier, called crevasses, form as a result of movement in the glacier's layers of ice. Gravity and the plastic-like nature of glacial ice create ice cracks, forming crevasses which can be as deep as 30 to 40 meters. Crevasses may be covered with a thin layer of ice and snow, making glacial travel very treacherous. The 3,700-meter-high Mount Columbia is found at the heart of the Columbia Icefield. It is the highest peak in Alberta. Nearly 60% of the ice that was here when explorers first arrived in the Rockies has melted. Warmer summers and less snow, possibly the result of global climate change, will continue to melt the glaciers. Meltwater from this ice field fans out across the North American continent. Chances are some of the water you drink in Western North America has its origins in the Columbia ice field. In winter, experienced mountaineers come from around the world to ski or climb the ice fields. In summer, visitors can take a snow coach tour. It starts at the Athabasca Glacier's eastern edge. You can also take a guided walk with an experienced interpreter and mountain guide. Information on this exciting service is available at the Icefield Center.
When you come to the toe of a glacier like the Athabasca, most of the water that you see is coming off from beneath the ice, when most of the melting, in fact, is taking place on the surface. The water carves out a series of tunnels or caverns within the glacier, and sometimes these can hold tremendous volumes of water. For instance, some days down at the toe of the glacier, we see a sudden surge as a result of the drainage of water from some of these caverns. Behind me, across the valley, you can see a mature forest. The ice nudged up into that forest in 1843. In the last 150 years, the ice has retreated back almost 1.5 kilometers. But not only has it melted back, it's thinned out considerably. If you look at the ridges of rubble on both sides of the Athabasca Glacier, lateral moraines, they give you an idea just how much higher the ice was in the middle 1800s.
In a century and a half, the ice has retreated 1.5 kilometers. The ice field is also much thinner than it used to be. Lateral moraines, earth pushed aside and heaped up as the glacier advanced, are now exposed on either side of the retreating glacier. The Sunwapta River is a classic example of a braided river. The river's volume and color vary according to temperature, season, and time of day. After leaving the Columbia ice field, the parkway climbs to Sunwapta Summit. Just below the summit, Tangle Creek cascades over spectacular natural steps. An evening stop along this winding channel is the best time to enjoy the peace of this valley. On the north side of the valley, the jagged peaks of the Endless Chain Ridge stretch for as far as the eye can see. The Sunwapta River tumbles over this limestone ridge before merging with the mighty Athabasca River. Near the confluence of the Sunwapta and Athabasca rivers, you find the Sunwapta Falls Resort. The Athabasca, part of North America's largest river system, the Mackenzie, flows from this point to the Arctic Ocean. The Athabasca begins its long journey with a plunge over Athabasca Falls. Water from melting glaciers significantly increase the flow late in the day. A brief detour leads to Mount Edith Cavell. A 2-hour interpretive loop hike takes you from the parking lot at the end of this side road to the Angel Glacier. Jasper, your next destination, is the service and administrative center for Jasper National Park, the largest of the 4 mountain parks. Both the railroad and the highway bring visitors here. Busiest in the summer, Jasper is a ski resort town in the winter. Built in the wide, flat montane of the Athabasca River Valley, Jasper Townsite shares its space with elk and other species which rely on the abundant valley bottom vegetation. South of the townsite, the Jasper Skytram climbs Whistler Mountain to give you a view of the townsite, the valley, and the vast sweep of mountains on the valley's far side. At nearly 4,000 meters, Mount Robson is the highest peak in the Canadian Rockies. Located an hour west of Jasper on the Yellowhead Highway, Robson's original name meant the mountain of the spiral road to heaven. The immensity of Mount Robson generates its own weather, so the peak is often obscured by cloud. Back in Jasper, Pyramid Mountain overlooks the golf course at the Jasper Park Lodge. The orange color of this mountain is the result of iron found in its soft rock. Originally built in 1915 by the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway, the lodge, including its famous ballroom, burned and was rebuilt in 1952. Today, it caters to both summer and winter visitors. Jasper's Moline Canyon, as deep as 50 meters and narrow enough to step across in places, is an impressive limestone gorge carved by the Moline River, which flows from Moline Lake. It is possible to hike along the canyon to the river's source. Medicine Lake, halfway to Moline Lake, lies above what appears to be the longest cave system in Canada. In fact, the entire Moline River disappears below ground at Medicine Lake. Because it drains into the cave system, Medicine Lake's water level fluctuates dramatically throughout the year. It is deepest after spring melt and nearly empty by early autumn. Moline Lake is at 22.5 kilometers, the longest natural body of water in the Canadian Rockies. The trip to Spirit Island passes good places to view moose and bear. A trail skirts Moline Lake for quieter views of the spruce forests and glacier-scoured peaks beyond. Despite its beauty, this ancient landscape may seem rocky, cold, and inhospitable. It is, however, home to many species of large mammals, which you may have an opportunity to view from a safe distance. The grizzly bear is king of the high mountain meadows. Once, the great bear roamed far out into the plains. Today they are protected only in the high mountains. Even in Banff or Jasper, their future is not assured. Distinctive, with a hump behind its huge head, the grizzly is a powerful animal, able to run quickly on mountain slopes. For your safety and for theirs, never feed or approach wildlife. Bears are best viewed from the safety of your car. Each year, Parks Canada must relocate or destroy several grizzly bears after they have conflicts with people or pose a danger to visitors. The smaller cousin of the grizzly is the black bear. You are more likely to see this bear. It will be munching wildflowers along the side of the road. Moose are the largest ungulate or hoofed animal in the parks. You can recognize a moose by its distinctive long nose and the flap of skin that hangs beneath its chin. Elk are most numerous where they are safe from predators. On a golf course, near a town, or along the highways are good places to see these animals. Be particularly wary of these otherwise calm animals in certain seasons. In spring and early summer, the females instinctively protect their young, and in autumn, the males challenge each other during the rut or mating season. The bugling of the bull elk is a symbol of wilderness in the national parks. Woodland caribou are the most elusive of the ungulates. They look a little like elk, but both male and female have antlers. Caribou are shy, reclusive animals, more often seen in the backcountry of Jasper. White-tailed deer are quite common in the national parks. These animals can be identified by their white tail and rump. When startled, their tail flashes a white flag, and they bound effortlessly into the woods. Mule deer received their name from mule-like ears. Unlike the white-tailed deer, mule deer have a smaller, dark tail. Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep are often seen licking salt from roadsides. Please drive carefully while in the parks. These animals are easily injured by passing cars. In the same family as antelopes, mountain goats are sure-footed climbers who are definitely not afraid of heights. Baby goats, called kids, are able to keep up with their mothers only shortly after they are born. In national parks, all of these animals are protected from hunting. Our journey through Banff, Jasper, Kootenay, and Yoho National Parks has just touched the tip of the mountain. There's so much more to see. The majesty and grandeur of these peaks and valleys is protected for all time. So when you return again, they will be waiting.